Hello, my name is Berke Aydın. I attend the B1 Plus '05 class, and I'm going to be studying management engineering in the next 4 years. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the C-snot problem. And we have a few topics like how and why it occurs, is it harmful, and what can the solutions be. So let's head towards the presentation. Okay, what actually is C-snot? It's also known as marine mucilage and sea saliva, but the most common one is sea snot. So I'm gonna be using sea snot for the whole presentation. And okay, what is it? It's a thick and sticky layer, both on the surface and at the bottom in the oceans and seas. It's really thick. It is made by bacteria, algae, and microorganisms. And also, the the thing we see in the picture, like on the surface of the sea, is just like the tip of the iceberg. Uh, the the big problem, the big stuff, goes under the water, and there are several reasons for sea snot to occur. And what are those reasons? First of all, this is definitely a man-made disaster. It's definitely not natural. I mean, like, if we had left the nature for itself, if we hadn't touched the nature, this kind of disease wouldn't have happened. And what are the reasons? Let's come to the reasons. Uh, for example, in the recent 30 years, maybe 40, 50 years, maybe more, the temperatures of the seas are rising. This is a reason for this. And seas being still, like there is being less waves, it doesn't actually produce the sea snot, but it helps provide the sea snot to come together. And also household and sewage and factory wastes. Uh, these these kind of wastes contain toxic elements like phosphorus and sulfur, and when these kinds of toxic elements like mix to our waters in our seas or oceans, um, yeah, this also these toxic elements feed um, the microorganisms, and when they got fed too much, when they got overfed, they breed too much. When they breed too much and become a lot in numbers, they produce more more sea snot. So we can find this kind of equation, like the more toxic elements, the more the more toxic elements mixed into our waters, the more sea snot we see in the water. Okay, when does it emerge? Well, generally in spring and summer, because the sea temperatures rise in these two seasons, and for the rest of the year, in like winter and autumn, the water is like relatively cold. So that's why. And also the life, to the recent research, like in the picture, like as seen in the picture, the life of the sea snot can be up to 2 to 3 months, and this is actually a lot. Well, is it only in Turkey? Well, no. The answer is no, because for over 200 years, the humanity has been dealing with this problem, especially in Adriatic Sea. But for the recent 30 years, this disease has increased its frequency. And for example, in Mexico Gulf in 2010, in a petrol exploration center, there has been petrol leakage. There had been a petrol leakage, and this also made a sea snot disease. So what we can find out from this event is that there can be many reasons for the sea snot to happen. And the biggest disease of the sea snot was in Adriatic Sea. And also we can find out that this is a global problem. This doesn't only happen in Turkey. This is a problem of the humanity. From my own perspective, there are many reasons, but one of them stands out, and it is that factories being unrestrained. According to the laws, like in normal conditions and according to the laws, filters should be used in factories, and the wastes should be filtered and should be sent to the centers for collecting industrial wastes. And also, like in my opinion, the government was not conscious until it was too late. Uh, the solutions should have done way earlier than they had. So what are the results, like the pros and cons? Well, unfortunately, there isn't a single pro, but however, there are numerous cons, unfortunately. And what are they? Let me count some. It made a huge decrease in marine population and unfortunately variation in some of the regions, like in Marmara Sea. It also harms fishing industry. As it is seen in the picture, fish can easily die from and because of the sea snot. And also the fish that are left alive can be harmful for people. That might be a problem for people to eat fish. And you may have some questions in your head too before eating fish. And this also makes a bad image in tourists' eyes of our country. And for example, I'm thinking like, who would like to come to this country? Like, it seems so bad. It seems terrible. And also, what I experienced in person is that it has a terrible smell. Since I live in Istanbul, I have personally experienced this, and it smells terrible. What are incentives? Well, I haven't seen any incentives, but if there is, I don't know. In my opinion, I think there isn't any because this problem is too big for citizens. This problem can only be solved with the opportunities of the government. Yeah, for like we don't have ships, so. But also, what is good is that the government financially helps fishes from the smallest to the biggest, and that helps the fishes to survive. And also, the government should instill consciousness of the importance of the nature to its citizens. What are the individual precautions we can take? Well, in this case, there is a big responsibility on family and teachers because there are the places and they are the people that can teach us that we can learn something from. Well, actually, the main idea is not to pollute. So we can count a few topics under this one. For example, recycling. Yeah, I know it's like, it seems like you need to set out a lot of effort, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it, yeah. And also, to be honest, in our country, like people don't prefer bins. They prefer throwing their rubbish onto the ground in a hooligan way. And also we should like pour our household wastes like cooking oil into a different jar and then send it to this special centers for these kind of oil stuff. Because that's why we do this is that one drop of this oil can easily waste tons of water. And spreading the importance, I think we can and we should talk our friends or our family or anything or anyone we know about the results. We can also debate to like decide which is the best solution or what we can do together to help solve this problem. Okay, what is our government doing for this situation? Well, as I have seen, as I have uh, as I have experienced in person too, they're vacuuming the sea snot from the surface with draining ships. But I think this is a temporary solution because, as I have mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, uh, the thing we see on the surface is just the tip of the iceberg. The real stuff, the big stuff, is going underwater. And to sum up, this is a global problem, as we have seen the examples from the other countries, from the rest of the world. And this is our world. So this problem interests every single person. And I think, in my opinion, we should come together to help solve this problem. We are strong together to like produce provide a sustainable nature. Thanks for listening.